Welcome, my friends, to a new episode of Ways of Teacher Training. And in this episode, we're going to talk about a type of input sessions. And this type of input sessions is called critical incidents. Now, we're all teachers and we've been in so many embarrassing situations before, and we've faced a lot of difficult problems in our career. Now, this is what all this type of input session is about. It's about all these difficult situations, all this experience that you have encountered as a teacher. Now, let me give you an example. Like, for me, at the very beginning, before I started my own professional development and before I started working on myself, I faced many difficult situations. Let me tell you one of them. Right, I still remember this time when I wanted to start a graded reader system at a language center, and I had a meeting with the manager and I proposed my idea, and I said that I wanted this to be part of the English language teaching system at the organization, and actually everybody agreed with me. And then he said, Shadi, okay, no problem. You go and choose the graded readers that would be taught to the different levels of the students. And at this time, there were about 5 different levels of the students at the center studying general English. And I said, okay, well, a novel to each level. And one of the novels I chose was The Full Monty. Now, it was a graded reader based on a movie, but I didn't see the movie. And my mistake was I didn't read the graded reader. And I thought it's because it's produced by an educational company, so it would be suitable for all educational contexts. It would be suitable for all cultures. I mean, this is what I thought. And of course I was wrong, because The Full Monty was about a group of men who decided to become strippers. And you can't teach that in Egypt, for example. Egypt is a Muslim country, and also it's an Eastern society. It's somehow conservative, and you cannot bring such a graded reader to the class. And what happened in that, we bought lots of copies from The Full Monty, and we distributed them to students in the classroom. And it was a big problem, because when I discovered what happened the next day, we decided to collect all these graded readers back from students, and it was really, really embarrassing to me, really embarrassing. But I learned a very good lesson from this. Now again, this can be easily turned into a critical incident input session. How? I will just tell the story, and then I'll throw some questions up there. Questions like, what was Shadi's mistake, for example? How would you avoid, falling in a mistake like that? What do you learn about, textbooks and graded readers from the previous story? And then discussions start to exchange information. And this way, you have an easy input session. Easy input session at your hand. Right. Now, someone might say, but Shadi, what are the advantages of this type of input session? And I would say, number one, it is realistic. And when I say realistic, teachers feel that, yes, this is real, because it is based on your experience. And you know that they might have been in your shoes, they might have faced such a problem as well. So they feel how real this is, and they really appreciate that you're giving them part of your experience. So that is the first advantage. Another advantage is personalization. And when I say personalization, I mean by that, it's a personal story. And Stories are interesting. Stories are attractive. Stories are attention grabbing. And it's a very good way of attracting your trainees' attention and getting them, to focus on the session. It's lovely. Another advantage is the easy preparation of such a session. Because the question is, what do you need to have a session like that? Think about it. A story. That's all what you need. And just type it, and Bob's your uncle. You have your input session. So that's a plus as well. And another advantage is the light material. Because it's a session that can be just delivered with one handout. So there is no need for a lot of printing, right? And another advantage is setting it up. Because it is very easy to set it up. Think about it. It's just a reading passage. So in terms of instructions, what do you need as a trainer? You just need to ask your candidates to read and answer the question. So that's very easy. And also it can be run easily with large classes, like you can have 100 teachers in one room. What's the problem? All what you need to do is to be ready with copies and that's it. Another advantage is encouraging critical thinking, because now there is a problem and now your teachers will be trying to solve this problem. That's a plus. That's an advantage. Now they need to sit and think and try to come up with solutions, which is also a very lovely thing to do. Another advantage, building good rapport. Someone might ask, Shadi, how this type of input session would build good rapport? And I'd say it's because you as a trainer are trying to tell those trainees that, hey, everybody makes mistakes, including me. I make mistakes as well. And here is a story about a mistake I made. So you're giving them a good example of someone who accepts that humans are not perfect, someone who accepts his or her errors, someone who learns from mistakes. And that's very important, because those teachers you're training will be given feedback sooner or later. And they always need to feel that you're not, talking to them from a higher place. You're an equal to them. And another advantage is adaptability. And when I say that this type of input session is adaptable, well, think about it. The example I gave you about the full Monty can be used about choosing resources and materials. It can be a session about this. Or maybe it can be, you can change the story and make it about dealing with disruptive students. Or you can change it to be very specific to a university or a specific context. It's adaptable. That's the beauty of it. And if you don't have a story, if you don't have a critical incident, you can ask a friend of yours and you can write his story and build your session. And now let's show you an input session I designed based on a critical incident that I faced myself in the past. And actually, to cut a long story short, it was a vocabulary lesson, and I was teaching true beginners. And I said to myself, I want to use, the data show projector, I wanted this session to be, interesting. I want to use technology and all that stuff. So, I decided to go to YouTube, pick a video from there. I found a video about close items. I said, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. That would be a good video. I watched, the first couple of minutes. I took it to my students. There were 4 people. It was a private class, 2 husbands, 2 wives, a family session. Fine. I started playing the video. And the video was displayed on the wall, like the cinema, lights are off. It was amazing. And then I realized that the vocabulary list that came on the video was too difficult for true beginners. Like there were words like koza, the Red Indian's costume, apron, and frock, and words like these, words you would never teach to true beginners, because at this level they need to learn about words like trousers, hats, jackets. This is what they're looking for now. And instead, of course, I should have turned off the video. I didn't. It was so stupid of me, eh? And I decided to continue playing the video, and I started writing the difficult words on the board. So I stopped looking at the video completely, and now I'm focusing on the board. And when I turned and looked at my students, they were just gasping, like in astonishment. And I looked at the screen to see what was going on, and oh my Lord, there was a picture of a whole naked lady on the screen. I didn't know how it happened. I watched, the first couple of minutes of the video. It was very educational. Nothing was wrong with it. But this was at the last seconds of the video. Why? Because the video was, the pictures were ordered alphabetically. So it got apron and all that stuff. And then when the designer came to the letter Y, this is what he wrote on the screen. You are without clothes. You are without clothes. And he put a picture of a naked woman. Can you imagine that? Now, I wrote this story and I used it as an input session, based on the idea of critical incidents. Let's see how I ran this input session with my trainees. Let's go.
Okay, my friends, how's everything? Good?
Yeah.
Lovely?
Great.
You fine? Okay, wonderful. So, first, let me tell you about this session. This session is actually about authentic material, using authentic material and culture. Okay, so using authentic material and culture, both of them together, right? So, now this session is generally important because, again, in reality, you will need to use authentic material, right, from time to another. You will need to go to YouTube, pick something, or go to the internet, pick a passage, build a lesson on it. So that's something that you will do on a daily basis. You also need to bear in mind the cultural differences between students. Also, when you're designing your own lessons, you've got to bear this in mind. The session also is important for this course because, again, it's very important when you're delivering a teaching practice, whether in this level or higher levels, that you bear in mind also how to use authentic materials. So you need to choose, from the culture, what is appropriate for your students and avoid what is inappropriate for them as well, right? Good. Now, this session, the reason why it comes at the very end is because we know now that after the course is over, you'll be out there into the market, right? And then you might not be teaching in Egypt all the time. You might end up teaching in a Gulf country, teaching in another Arab country. I mean, who knows, maybe teaching in different parts of the world. Then you need to bear in mind the culture of the country you're teaching in, and also read a bit about this before choosing authentic material, right? Good. Now, what are our aims of this session? Now, aim number one is to raise your awareness of the importance of culture in choosing authentic material. Aim number two is to show you how dangerous it can be if you choose something without checking whether it's appropriate for your students or not. Easy peasy lemon squeezy? Good. So my friends, now what I want you to do, I have here a critical incident. Now what is a critical incident? Well, I mean, we're all teachers and we all face difficult situations when we're teaching, right? It happens. So that's a difficult situation that I encountered myself. So this is a true story. What I want you to do, I want you to read about what happened to me, And you have here 3 questions. So take your time, read, and then answer the question. Okay, right. Okay, now my friends, what I want you to do is to check your answers to these questions and discuss them with your partners. So the 3 of you together, both of you, and both of you. Okay, right, so let's start. So question number 1, what questions would you like to ask the teacher about this incident?
Didn't you watch the whole video before you teach?
Well, that's a good question. What I did, I was in a hurry, and at this time, data show projector was kind of new. So I really wanted to use them, and that was my mistake. I was thinking of making my classroom based on technology and show my students that I'm using these,
You took care of the presentation only.
Yeah, and then because I was in a hurry, I just watched the first couple of minutes of the video and yeah, fine. So I didn't care to watch it till the very end. Because what happened was actually at the last moment. It wasn't, there was nothing wrong with the video from the very, very beginning. Totally innocent, totally good. Other questions that you would like to ask me?
Why didn't you grade the vocabulary?
That was because at this time I wasn't well trained. And I didn't know that, I didn't realize that this kind of vocabulary would never be needed at the beginner level. You know what I mean? Like apron. Why would I teach them the word apron when they still don't know what shoes, means? So it was really funny. But I realized my mistake while I was in the classroom. Because I said, oh my God, no. These are too difficult words for the students. That's why I started writing them on the board, but it was too late.
But why didn't you stop the video as you saw that it's difficult to find difficult words?
Yeah, it's because I still wanted, what you're saying was the right solution. I should have stopped it, I agree with you, but I didn't. I thought, I don't want to stop the video, the classroom is in a dark mode, and the data show is working, so students will leave my class very happy with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. And I said, okay, let me solve the problem of vocabulary by writing them on the board. I was wrong, of course.
And what about your relationship with the students after?
Well, they're still my friends. It's because of how I acted. Like when I saw this happen, I said, okay, I guess we've had enough of this video. Thank you so much. As if nothing happened. And then I continued my lesson normally. So I didn't comment on that. I didn't talk about it. you know, and then I kept going. And I believe they realized that I didn't know, of course. It was clear that I didn't know, and that was of course embarrassing because it means that I wasn't well prepared, and I wasn't prepared. Yeah, that's true.
They were focused for the rest of the session, or
Yeah, I guess except for one husband was really funny, and we kind of discussed a word or something, and he said, "We can watch the video again." That's when I exploded laughing, you know. I mean, that was when I lost it. But before that, I kept going as if nothing happened, right? Nothing at all. So, do you still have questions for me on number one, or?
No.
So let's move to 2. Now, what mistakes did I make so that I fell in this problem?
You didn't prepare it well.
Okay, so number 1, no.
Preparation.
Which means that when using authentic material, we need to be what?
Be aware.
Have watched and check
Of course, check everything. See, it doesn't matter whether it is designed by an educational company or not. Cultures are different. What is accepted in another country might not be accepted in your country at all, right? So, because in the past, I had this thought that as long as this is produced by an educational company, then I can take it, display it in the classroom. I thought this, but I was wrong. No. You have to read, because what happens in other classes in different parts of the world might not be very appropriate for your context. So yes, so preparation. What other mistakes? I wasn't prepared. What else?
I would say, as you mentioned previously, that the behavior was not suitable for this level of students, and it could go also for the preparation.
So a problem with culture, because I didn't check, and a problem with language. So the language was not suitable for my students. So again, so when I choose authentic material, I need to bear in mind that whether this material would be appropriate for the level of my students or not, and what kind of grading should I do to this material so that it becomes appropriate. Okay, so that's also another mistake. So a language mistake related to language grading, and also another problem which is not checking the whole thing. Something else?
No, I think like he deals with the situation really good, because you didn't talk about it anymore, and distracting.
But there is another horrible mistake that I
Actually,
made.
the main aim was teaching vocab, and the video that she used wasn't related to the aim. That
It was about vocabulary.
So she should let them see vocabulary about clothes itself, right? So this is maybe.
Well, I would say here that as you said, I should have stopped it. When something like that, when something goes wrong in a lesson because of your bad choice of material, and then you realize that in the middle of the lesson, then stop it. Don't be too arrogant. Don't keep playing the video. Okay, you might say, "Oh, sorry, I guess I got the wrong video," and then you end it. This is instead of getting involved with the video and writing all the difficult words on the video on the board, because now you're making your problems bigger. You're coming to teach those beginners 5 easy words. Now you end up having kind of 20 difficult words to teach. So what are you trying to do? Is it just because you have to play the video till the very end? No. So when your plan clashes with culture and reality, don't follow your plan. Just to stop it and follow reality. You know, these are too difficult for your students. You discovered that. Yes, it's in the middle of the class, but no problem. Just to stop it. It is better than you continue doing something wrong. Okay, so I guess that was also another mistake that led to this problem. Now, what about number 3? How do you think the teacher should deal with this embarrassing problem. That's number one. And list the steps you might follow if you were in her or his shoes.
If I were in shoes, I would just neglect the fact that they just show a naked woman and just step to another topic, or just close the video, stop it, and I'm gonna discuss with them any topic other than what they have just seen.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, that's number one. So ignoring and just continue, right? Well, yeah. I mean, I believe, yeah, that's the right
It
thing.
would be awkward to discuss what happened
Yeah.
actually.
But what if one student, got really offended by what he saw? Because that's possible. I was lucky that my students didn't feel bad because they realized that I didn't mean it. But in other situations, a student might really get offended. What would you do if one student said, "What is this? What the hell is that? We're not supposed to be looking at something like this. What would you do?"
Just apologize for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm deeply sorry. I didn't know that it's something like that. Really, really sorry. I do apologize to every and each one of you. Yeah. Because you've got to be honest about it. Yeah. And apologize to everyone, right? Because it is your mistake.
Yeah.
It is your mistake. You should have prepared. Yeah. Right. What else? So we said number one, ignoring, and then continue the lesson normally. If one of the students is offended, we will apologize. Now, what about the future? In the future, how can we avoid such things?
Just watch the video carefully before
Check
showing them.
it, right? And imagine that you want to choose a graded reader for your students to integrate in their level. Then what you should do about this graded novel? In terms of culture. If you want to integrate a novel in your teaching, like graded novel, what should you do?
Read.
Exactly. You're saying that as it's an obvious answer.
Yeah.
Because I told you that I integrated 2 novels before when I was teaching without reading them. Can you imagine? And the results were terrible because they were completely inappropriate for the society here in Egypt. And the reason why I did that, because I thought, these graded novels were produced by an educational company. Nothing would be wrong in them. So that's how I was thinking. So let's take them. I know the company, they produce a lot of graded novels. So let's take that novel. And then I realized that one of those novels was about a story of men who were too poor to the degree that they decided to become strippers. Men in Egypt. Can you imagine that? Of course. The story is completely inappropriate for the society. What would you say to students? Right, and then of course, we had to withdraw the novel, to take the novels back from students, and so again, a lot of problems, more than what you can imagine, can happen because you don't check the culture of the material you'll be using with your students. Be always careful, right? So, thank you so much, my friends.
Yes. Just also to try to have a plan B for your lesson, but it's gonna be hard sometimes because you didn't have time to prepare.
Yeah, because again, everything is back to preparation. If you didn't prepare and you're using authentic material, then my God, you're in trouble. Of course, yeah. So my advice here, when you choose authentic material, be prepared and read well and check for culture appropriacy before you bring material into the classroom with your students. Okay. Right. So my friends, now you watched an input session based on critical incidents, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of Ways of Teacher Training. Don't forget to like and leave comments. This encourages me so much to continue this series of video. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.